Well, you're looking over my shoulder today while I install some new toys I got for the Black Pearl. I have a Signal Dynamics back-off headlight module, plug and play, and their plug and play harness for the Japanese H7 dual headlights like what we have on the GL1800s. And I've done a little bit of preparation. I've taken my Baker wind wings off and taken my GPS off and a few things, but not a lot. And so you're going to be looking over my shoulder while I do this, and I'll be moving the camera around and starting and stopping quite a few times because I've never done this before. So we'll find out for first time how hard it is to do. And they've got some really good instructions on the back of the boxes on how to do them. Basically, the headlight module is just you plug it in and locate it once you have the plug and play harness installed. It looks like there's only a couple maybe just one actual splice that's going to be needed, and that's to get a ground wire, and then there's going to be maybe some mounting of the optical sensor, but that may just be with a wire tie. So I'm going to get started now. The first thing we have to do is we've got to get to the back side of both the low and the high beams. Getting the back side of the low beam is really easy. You just move it to the handlebar to the side, you take your flashlight, and you look up inside of there, and you can see the back side of the low beam, and you can do that on either side. Now you can't see it from where the camera is right now, but believe me, it's just an easy reach right up in there to get to the back side of that and pull the plug off the back of it. That's no problem. I've changed low beam headlights in parking lot in like 5 or 10 minutes and been on my way. And the low beams are usually what burns out. So what I'm going to do first here is I'm going to take out the pockets, because you got to get behind the pockets to get to the back side of the high beams, and you have to get to the back side of both the high and the low beams to hook this up. So to get the back side of the pocket, like I said, I've already got my wind wings off. I'm just going to take the trim strip here and kind of snap it sideways, and it comes right off. And then my little things here for the wind wings that I've got taped on the back side, need to make sure they stay with it. And I'm going to lay that aside. And then to get the pocket out, you need to open it. And I found this the best tool in the world to take the pins out of the pocket. Just press down the center with your ignition key and do this on each one of them. Don't press them too far. That's why the ignition key is so good for this. It's way too easy to press them too far and then send the center part into the Honda hole, and you'll never get back again. And then once you take it out, just take it and press it back through so the center part is sticking up like that, and they'll be ready to go back in. And I'll put that in my box that I have here for putting all the parts that come off, because I've got a lot of parts going to be coming off here, so I've got a sectioned out box to put these in. And I'll go under here. And just take them all out now. Take your thumbnail. You could use a knife blade or something if you don't have a thumbnail long enough. And take them each one out like that. And once you have the 4 of them out, then you take, I'll move the handlebar to the side here, you take the pocket out, and it should lift right up. Now mine has, it has a cigarette lighter plug installed in the back of it, but I've disconnected it because I never use it. And so that's the pocket, and I'll just set it aside. And through here we should, according to the book, we should be able to get to the back side of the headlight module. Now what you see in here is you'll have the intake for your air cleaner. You see I've got some screen wire taped over mine to keep critters from getting into it, and I have several electronics things I've added on, and yeah, I can lean down like this and I can see directly up to the back side of the headlight. Now it's a tight squeeze in there, but I think that I'll be able to get to it. As a matter of fact, I have a tool that'll be just the thing for getting the backside of that connector and pulling it off, I hope. And now I'm going to go over to the other side and take that pocket out, show you how to take that one out. So let's swing over here to the other side. I hope the cup holder won't be in the way. The cup holder's not coming off. Oh, that ought to do it. And just get you a little closer here. And so first thing we do is we open it. We always take it out with it open. Got to take the trim strip off. Once again, you just get a fingernail underneath it. I start at the bottom. Snap it sideways gently. Don't do it too hard. There's some snaps under there you don't want to break off. That ABS can get brittle as it gets old. The old Black Pearl is 6 years old now. Just had her 6th birthday. So, and I need to put tape underneath these so they'll stay in place when I put it back together. And I'm going to lay this over here on the side, out of the way. And then we have to open the box. So just use a key, open the box. There is a trick for opening these boxes if you lose the thing off of it. And look for Bartman on the GL1800 rider site, and he can show you the trick. Now you can see it's been a long time since I've cleaned her up. Bugs and everything in here. So I'm going to take out these 2 screws, and I'm just going to leave them inside of it. And then once again you have these 2 rivets. Pop the center in with your key. And like I said, that's the best way of making sure that the center pin on that rivet doesn't go into the Honda hole and send you off to your dealership getting a new one. And I'll just leave those rivets in here. And then this is going to come out a little bit, and we'll take loose the connector cable that we open it with, which is right here. And we just, I don't know if you can see it or not, it's just the green connector that's snapped into the side of the box. You snap it away from the side of the box, and that way you can rotate everything until it's sideways like this and pull the operator out of it and set the glove box aside. And then once again on this side, you're supposed to be able to look at the back side of the headlight module, and sure enough, right there it is. As a matter of fact, I think even more accessible than the left side. Gosh, I can stick my hand right in there and grab a hold of it. So that's just a wonderful thing. Thank you, Mr. Honda. So we've got access to it now, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off the camera and read the instructions, because I'm a big believer in read the instructions over and over so you only have to do the job once. So I'll be back with you after I've done that. I feel that I have to make a comment here about the way Signal Dynamics has done their packaging. I wish all vendors would do this. Know how you get these vacuum pack packages and they're heat sealed and you have to slice your fingers to ribbons to get the things open? These are just held together by friction. Look at that. So nice. And the card in the back of it has all the instructions printed on it, and all the things that you're going to need to install it are in there in the package. I really wish all vendors would take a note from their notebook about the way they package it. All these things that I got are from Signal Dynamics, are packaged that way. I love it. Now I find that there's a lot of people just hate to read the instructions. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to read them for you as I do this. It says to install, step 1, be sure that both the high and low beams are functioning properly. So headlights are on. Both low beams are on. And, both high beams and low beams on at the same time. So that's good. We're good to go there. Next it says connect the H7 Japanese dual harness 6-pin connector into the Diamond Star plug-and-play headlight module 6-pin connector. Be sure it's snap closed and no wires were pushed out the back of either connector. So I I have both of them here. Here is the module, and here is the wiring harness, and here's the 6-pin connector. And so what I'm going to do is align these up. There's the snap to hold it together, and they're keyed so they can only go one way. Push them together, make sure they snap together good and tight, and there we go. That's that much of the problem solved. That was pretty easy. Okay, we're going to go freehand video right now so I can show you the back side of the high beam headlights. Up in there, you see that round black thing furthest back? The center part of it is the connector on the high beam. Looking here, looking in through the left tunnel, the round connector there, the round boot, and the connector in the center, that's your low beam on the left side. We're going to run around to the right side. Well, no, that's... Get it up in there. There you go. There's the back side of the high beam connector on the right side. You can see it. It's not hard to get to on that one. And then we'll look right down through here. There's the low beam headlight. You see how easy the low beam is to get to. Now we're going to disconnect all 4 of these. Now I told you that I had a special tool that was going to help me to get this connector off the left high beam, and I've got it up in there right now, and I'll show it to you after I pull the connector off. Got it on it. Look at there. There's the connector right there. So it worked like a charm. And that's the tool right there. It's a pair of needle nose pliers, real long handle with a 90-degree bend on the end of them, and you can get them at a lot of the cheaper tool stores and things. And I've actually got a couple pair of them. I use them all over the place. Great tool to have on a motorcycle. Now I'm going to take the other ones loose and I'll get back to you. I'm going to cut a piece of rubber glove and tape it over this connector that I cut loose on, or pulled loose on the right side, and also going to try to do it on the ones that I did on the low beams that are not going to be used anymore, just to do 2 things for me. It's kind of a peace of mind that I've keeping trash and moisture out of it, and also it will help me locate it in the future. Okay, now we've unplugged the 4 plugs from the bike's 4 headlights, and we've covered up the right high and low beam connectors, secured them out of the way. Now we're going to connect the H7 Japanese dual harness 2 red connectors onto the back of the bike's 2 high beam headlights. Polarity does not matter, and it does not matter which one goes to which side. So I'm going to do that next. And so here's the harness. I'm pretty much going to leave everything coming from this side over here, since the left side controls everything. And so I'm going to run the right one in through here and around, and then over to the right side. There should be a place where this comes out where I can get to it. Yeah. And I will run it around to the right side, so I'll be able to secure it out of the way once I get it over there. So I'm going to run it up through this tunnel on the left side, right past the high beam headlight on the left side, and then into the front of the fairing to take it across to the right side. Should And wire tie that up inside of there to keep it out of the way. And then I'm sure that this one is going to go, make sure, over to the other side for the low beam. So I'm going to run it at the same time over there so that I'll do all the wire tying and everything together at one time. There they go. Let's get them past halfway. And I'll go to the other side and plug it in over there. If you should be wondering how in the world did I get it from the left side to the right side, if you go to the front, underneath the headlights, there's a plastic piece attached right there above the forks that you can pull down with one hand and stick your arm up in there and move things from one side to the other. Now, once again, to connect up these bottom ones, the low beams, you can go in here through this tunnel in the front and hook them up if you wish. Okay, all four of the wires, the two reds and the two blues, connected up to the back sides of the headlights. Now it says connect the bike's left high beam headlight plug, left as sitting on the bike, that's this side over here, to the H7 Japanese harness's 2-pin black connector labeled H. Be sure the black wire on the harness is lined with the black ground wire on your bike. Ground wire should be the same color on the low beam as it is on the high beam. On Honda, the ground wire is green, and on Yamaha, the ground wire is black. So we're looking for green on this. And so I got to look up inside of here and take the connector I pulled off. Okay, now we're going to connect the H wire to the old Honda headlamp connector for the high beam on the left side, this one right here, making sure we keep the ground wire the same on both of them. So you got a brown wire here and a green wire here, so we want to make sure they stay connected. Plus, if the connector was polarized, it would force us to do it right anyway. So we're going to do that. And you got those two connected together. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold them together better with a wire tie. And I'll be right back. Put that on. I'll just run it just a little more slack. Run it there and tighten it up. And just to try to keep them from friction being the only thing that's holding them together. Just run between the two wires on each of them. And I'll pull this down. Good and snug. And cut the excess off. And that's got that one done. And now it's going to say, for the next step, step 7, connect the bike's left low beam headlight, left is sitting on the bike, onto the H7 Japanese harness's 2-pin black connector labeled L, which I've already pulled through down here. There they are, connected together. Now I'm definitely going to have to get to that from beneath to get the wire tie around it. So, be back with you in a minute. Okay, I've wire tied both of my connectors, and these are what actually make the thing work. I've wire tied both of them now and second checked to make sure that my black wire and my black wire were together. And so now we go on to the next step on the instructions. Says use the included blue tap splice connector to connect the green wire from the H7 Japanese dual harness to the bike's horn wire. The bike's horn wire is the wire that connects the bike's horn button to the bike's horn. Note there are only 2 wires on the horn itself, and one of them is where the green wire connects. Choosing the wrong wire will not harm the module or the bike in any way. The heads-up alert feature just will not work. Okay, so we're going to do that next, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to refer to the Honda manual to make sure I know what color wire that's going to be in all the maze of Honda wiring that's underneath here. Well, I've finally relocated what I believe to be my horn wire over here on the right side of the bike, and this little blue connector in this mass of 3 connectors, and that should have the horn wire connected up to my splice wire, and then I've got to run my splice wire all the way across the other side of the bike, which is going to be some fishing through there, so I'll be back with you. And now to show you all the secret things that it did while the camera was off. I pulled my covers off my meters, and they just pop off. They go in these 2 grommets right here and back in through here, and then you have to disconnect one connector underneath here and another connector on the back of each one of the tweeters for 06 and above. And then I took out the 4 number 8 bolts that hold the meter panel in, and I slid it down, and the reason I did that is so I could run my yellow wire here over the top of it and splice it. And then I want to show you the results, because I test it now. This is the best thing to do. Test it now before you go any further. Make sure it's working. So, move it around here so you can see the headlights. And I'm going to start off with, just turn them on, and on low beam, and you see there it is, starting to modulate on the low beam. And then I switch to high beam, and both modulating on the high beam. And then I do the quick switch to high and back, and you see that the low beam's on steady. And I take it up to high beam, and we see that the high beam is on steady. And then I do the quick switch and back again. So you got to switch it down, and then there we go. And now we got it back to modulating again. Now I've just dropped the light sensor down here under the fairing, so it's getting a little light off the pavement. You see, if I cover it up, it gets dark outside. Yeah, then it stops flashing. And that's what it's supposed to do. It's by law, it's required to do that. Automatically disable it so you don't have them modulating at night and distracting people. They're to attract attention, not distract people. You see, I uncover it and it goes back. So I'm going to figure out where I'm going to mount that now, and then go on from there. Plus I'll put my meter panel back in place after wiping down several years of accumulated dust. Now, hitting home stretch says mount the optical sensor in a water protected area facing the road. Under the fairing pointed at the front fender is usually a good location. A 5/16 hole can be drilled, or the sensor can be attached to one of the bike's wires or cables with a zip tie. Note, fluorescent or LED lighting will not activate the module. To test, use an incandescent light source or move outdoors. And then mount the headlight module finally with the enclosed adhesive pad, and secure all wiring in a manner that will not interfere with any of the bike's controls. So, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to drill a hole. There's a nice flange down here underneath with nothing behind it really, and I'm going to drill a hole through that to mount my sensor on. So that comes next. And now just to show you where I mounted the sensor, this is looking up in my fork area, and right there is the sensor mounted down through a hole in that flange. So now I've got to mount the module down here in this hole. So I've got to find an appropriate place to mount it to. I'm hoping that I can find a place up underneath here where I can get it to stick, or maybe over on this side panel over here. One of the sides would be best to keep it out of the way of the glove box that's going in. That's next. Okay, everything's going back together now, so I'll show you how to get the pockets back in and everything. I've already got the left pocket just setting in there. Here's the right pocket. Got screws down in it and everything. I'm running my radar detector wire into the right pocket, so I'm going to kind of feed it from underneath onto it. But first we want to hook up the release. So you take the release, make sure you do this before you put the pocket in and close it. Run the release cable, hook it up, snap the little green end into the socket there, and then set her all down in. Figure out where to run my radar cable. There we go. And then the little push ends, I push them back up like that. I'm going to put them in. Put them down until they're flush, and then just put the center part down until it's flush. And push it below. Put this one in. And then push it down towards flush. Then we have our two screws to go in. So I use an electric screwdriver. I usually have it set on the lowest torque so I don't over tighten things. Go ahead and set my radar detector in there. You know, I don't speed, but I do like to know when people are watching me. And that's in there. And then we go around to the other side, get the connectors that I have for that out. And once again, you just, make sure we get this. Just put this center part out like this, so it makes a nice little bullet there. And put it in. Center it, snap it down. Don't push it through, or it goes into the Honda hole, you never get it out. All four of those in. Yeah, that works nice. Okay, now we have put our strips in over here. I like to start it with hooking this top right here in, and then work your way down, snapping them in. You know, so I've got my little standoffs in there for my air wings, and you just pop them in all the way down, and that's how you put that on. And then before I put my air wings back on, I'll be cleaning everything up a little bit with some spray detailer. Because this will be underneath where the air wings go, and they won't get cleaned again for another year or two. Okay, and then the same thing, the other side. Snap it on, and you're good to go.